Now, it's time for your weekly sports show, The Sports Engine.
Good afternoon, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of Sports Engine. My name remains Ladi Egbedure. Join me on the show today is Enifemi Afolabi, the one I like to call Zimulini. Welcome on board.
How are you, Ladi?
Very well, Zimo. Good to have you on the show, man. It promises to be exciting if you look at what is going on in the world of football right now. Talking about the World Cup that is taking place in Qatar. And apart from football, there is news emanating from the world of boxing concerning the fight a lot of boxing fans have been hoping for, have been waiting for. That is the fight talking about Usyk going up against the one they call the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. We got news concerning that and some other table tennis news. But let me quickly divert a bit into football because I know so many people can't wait to hear us talk about football. But we talk about briefly before we move on. Zimo, out of all the African teams you've seen at this World Cup, which one have stood out the most for you out of them, out of the whole lot? Of the
At the moment, I would say Senegal and Ghana have really done African proud. And aside that, Cameroon had a very good result against the Serbians as well, coming back from 3-1 down. I think African nations have been able to put their mark on this tournament as well to say we are here to fight for our place. If you look at Morocco, they beat the third best team in the world, which is Belgium.
the second best team,
Yeah, in the world, 2-0, you know,
yeah.
in the group stage, just to knock them out. But at the same time, we're still in this competition. The African teams, I can say at least 3 of them are still in it, and we'll wait for the result of today. Africa, they've really done African proud, to be honest with you, with the result I've seen so far.
If I might come in there, for me, I think the performance of Ghana has been very, very, very fantastic because that's the first African team to score a goal at this World Cup. But the Moroccans, that dominant performance against the Belgian, for me,
Yeah.
that is the highlight of the whole championship because nobody saw that coming. Fine, we know that the Belgian team there is an aging side, but then to have that kind of dominance, performance by Morocco and inspired by
Again,
Hakim Ziyech, whom a lot of people are feel, oh, his game is nosediving right now, but Ziyech stood up that day and he had actually upped his game to the very, very next level. Before we go on to the World Cup proper, let's talk about table tennis. Now, the World Table Tennis Federation that's up today has unveiled his calendar for the 2023 season. The calendar promises a year of first at the WTT series, which kicks off in January with a WTT contender in Durban, that's in South Africa. That's the first time the WTT championship will be going to South Africa. If you look at what the table tennis federation is doing right now, they're talking about the ITTF. It's all about taking table tennis to all the nooks and crannies of the world. And if you look at their program for this year, there's a program that is that's scheduled apart from the one that's taking place in South Africa. There's another one that is scheduled for Lagos in June. That's a WTT contender. That will be the first time it will be coming to Nigeria. That's taking place in Nigeria in June. Then and the first for the country, followed by the third edition of the WTT contender in Tunis, that's in Tunisia. So you see that they're really taking it round. While Doha and Zagreb will host the WTT event for the third and second consecutive year, respectively. Made hosts round out the first half of the 2023 calendar, adding momentum to the international growth of table tennis. WTT contender Gao and WTT star contender Bangkok bring the series to India and Thailand. Now, if you look at these programs, just like football, taking it all over the world, getting people to be interested in the game. And I'll tell you something, table tennis is one game that if you're in the hall where the game is being played, you will really enjoy the spectacle.
Yeah, it's true, Ladi, but I think it's a good thing for the sport if they can take it around the nooks and crannies of the world, just to expose the game more and get more people participate in it. But they need proper funding for this sport, and to do that as well, you have to go around take this sport because we don't know where the sponsors might come from. It might be from the African country, it might be from South America that want to take this championship on, and start sponsoring the WTTF. So it's a good thing to take around the world, and it's positive news for Africa as it's coming to Lagos as well. So probably we'll get more participation in the next
Eh,
couple of.
Yeah, it is coming to Lagos in June, and that's a very good one for the Nigerian Table Tennis Federation there. Uh, I don't know who's in charge right now, but I know that Enito Shodi has done a fantastic job some couple of years ago, with his involvement in the African Table Tennis Federation and also the ITTF. Let's move on to boxing, where negotiations between Tyson Fury and Alexander, Alexander Usyk over an undisputed heavyweight title fight is getting there. Fury defends his WBC title against fellow Briton Derek Chisora at Tottenham Stadium on Saturday. Now that fight is coming up on Saturday. A lot of boxing fans are looking forward to that fight. Do you think that fight will affect the chances of Fury taking on Usyk probably in 2023? Because if you look
I
at what's going on right now, you know that Usyk also have a mandatory title defense that
mhm.
he must follow. If he doesn't defend that title, then it might be ripped off the title. And we have lots of contenders. Uh, and one guy stands out for me, and that guy is Joe Joyce, the British
Mm.
boxer of Nigerian heritage. Don't forget, he's the current, or what's he called? He's the current British champion right now, Joe Joyce. How do you fancy Joe Joyce if you fancy to get the chance to step up against the Gypsy King? Do you think he has anything?
To,
Don't forget, he got a very good victory against,
largely,
what's he called? Against Parker, against
to
Joseph
be
Parker.
honest,
That was in
to be
September.
hon- to be honest with you, I think I'm hearing his name for the first time, and I don't think he's in the rank of Tyson Fury when it comes to heavyweight boxing. He might be the British champion for now, but when it comes to heavyweight boxing, there are people like Derek Chisora there. His name is not being mentioned like Derek Chisora. He needs to take on people like that. Derek Chisora is going up against Tyson Fury. You know, we have contenders, and then we have like pretenders, right? That just want to be on the ladder as well. Fine, but I don't see him taking on Tyson Fury in the nearest future. Not at all. Except Tyson Fury is trying to share the cake around. And like, okay, I'll take on this boxer because he's
But
fighting the
don't
we
forget that Joe Joyce actually defeated Joseph Parker in September. And if you want to count some of the best heavyweights of this decade, I'm sure Joseph Parker will make that list.
Joseph Parker. If you say that, but I don't think these guys are in the rank of Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua or you know. If you say, oh, they want to fight Anthony Joshua, I could say yes. Maybe they're in the same. Maybe Anthony Joshua dropped that on the ladder to go and fight people like Joyce and Parker. But when it comes to proper heavyweight boxing, I don't think there is any contender there. Tyson Fury is just trying to share the cake round. The real contenders are Usyk, you know, and Deontay Wilder, you know. So
We all know that Usyk, Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury's fight is going to be the biggest payday in boxing history.
yeah,
That's why
yeah,
both boxers want that fight to happen. They need the money as well. So we all
it's
know
gonna
that
happen.
is it going to be the biggest payday. That's why both even all the promoters are all over the guys, and they want to make this fight happen.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen at some point next year. But I don't want to take Tyson Fury serious when he says something these days and say, "Oh, I'm not taking on that fight. It's going to happen next year." No, it might happen. It might still happen next year. So, because that's the biggest fight everyone is waiting for. They need to fight each other. Then we know who's got the bet or who's coming up against any of them.
Let's see the way it goes. They need to step up. Let's quickly say this that the Nigerian National Sports Festival started today in Delta State. That was the what's it called? It was the opening ceremony was declared open by the vice president talking about Oshibaju, Yemi Oshibaju, and the sports festival will be on until the 10th of December. We know that the National Sports Festival in years past used to produce fantastic athletes for Nigeria who go, these are athletes that goes on to, become world champions or world beaters or world contenders. How will you rate the performance of the recent national sports festival that has been done in the country in the past decade? If you look vis-a-vis the quality of the athletes that is been able to turn out.
Like I think it's still a platform for us recruiting athletes, and they've been doing that for the past how many decades now. They still produce it. Whether those stars will not perform abroad, I mean, when they get to international stage, we don't know. But that is a platform, that is a channel for the Nigeria Sports Commission to get athletes for Nigeria. It's good news, but the positive this time around is having the disabled athletes participate in the national sports festival. So that, and then the traditional sport.
Let me quickly cut you. Let me quickly cut you short there, Zimo. From what I'm seeing right now, Tunisia just scored a goal, 57th minute, 30 seconds. The Tunisians have just scored a
Mhm,
goal, and if you look at the
mhm.
makeup of that French team before this game, we saw a lot of changes, in the squad, in the team lineup. And I think the Tunisians are actually taking advantage of this because there is no Mbappe, there is no Griezmann, and there is no Hugo Lloris in goal. I
Sorry,
think
yeah.
the Tunisians, they know that this is their opportunity, to nick that
Mhm,
second qualification ticket because the French team, they've already qualified. They've got 6 points in the bag
yeah,
already, so they are home
yeah.
and dry. They
That,
can afford to rest players.
It will be good
So
news for Africa if
sorry
Tunisia.
to interject. That's good news. That's more good news. So you can go ahead. I'm listening to you, man.
Yeah, I said it's a good news for Nigeria. I mean, for Africa, if Tunisia could sneak in,
No doubt,
you
no
know,
doubt.
this opportunity to sneak in, then we'll see what the other African teams are going to do. Senegal are through already. If Tunisia can go through now, we have two teams in the round of 16. Then Cameroon are still going to play. And I expect Cameroon to do something, maybe probably get a point against Brazil because Brazil might probably rest players as well. We never know.
Yeah,
So we could
Brazil might
have
rest
three
players,
African.
but I think the Moroccans are home and dry too with 4 points. Morocco should qualify from that group. I think their last group game is going to be against Canada. They should be able to qualify from that group,
This,
and because they've navigated the top two teams in that group, talking about Croatia and Belgium. Now they have Canada. The Canadians are already out because they don't have any points at this stage, so the Canadians are out. So I feel the Moroccans, they should be able to make that ticket. And the Ghanaians, they are going up against Uruguay. The Uruguayan side is an aging team. That's the way I see that Uruguayan team. And they should be able to also take
Mhm.
advantage of that. And, yeah, and because they have a lot of youthful players in that Ghanaian team, and I feel they have what it takes to go ahead and because they've been scoring goals since the start of this championship. That's one good thing about the
They've scored.
Ghanaian side. They've been scoring goals.
No, to be honest with you, the African teams have really performed in this competition, to be honest. And if we can get five teams out of the 16 teams to go into the round of 16, then Africa have really done well. To be honest, they
That
will
is
have done Africa.
unprecedented. That's never been done before. What you are talking about has never been achieved before in the history of the World Cup.
No, not at
Well,
all.
let's quickly move on.
This is
Let's
good.
quickly give you some other stories where Let's quickly give you other stories where African champions Senegal are set to face the wrath of FIFA after breaking one of the rules of the World Cup in Qatar. Senegal made it to the last 16 of the World Cup after beating Ecuador 2-1 at the Khalifa International Stadium on Tuesday. However, the celebration has been met with a probe with the actions of the team before the match against Ecuador. Senegal coach Aliou Cisse appeared at the pre-match presser with a player without a player, and that's now being investigated by FIFA. He's supposed to attend the press conference with a player, but he didn't attend it with any player, and I don't know why he
Uh,
did that. Probably just
that's lack of communication, right? He did that in the first game. He had a player with him, so probably it's lack of communication. But like, I don't buy into all these stories and trying to destabilize the Senegalese camp and try and bring, you know, such stories out against them when they're going to play England in the second round. I think this is a ploy just to destabilize the camp and try and say, oh, they're going to be investigate. Investigate for what? You've not got a player by the presser. What does that mean? it's not like a player has turned down a test. He hasn't brought a player to a presser, and you guys are going on about story. I've seen it in the British press today. I'm like, what's all this? Because they're playing England. If they were to play USA, maybe we'll never have that story. It's not a story to FIFA. It's not a story. I don't think it's a story.
It's not a story. Let's move on to Ghana, where Mohamed Kudus, remember Mohamed Kudus, the guy that scored 2 goals against South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
This outstanding performance for Ghana at the World Cup has not gone unnoticed. Kudus has 3 goals involvement for the Black Stars in the competition, notching 2 goals and providing an assist in addition to the winning Man of the Match award against South Korea. The 22-year-old has now been elevated to the level of immortality by none other than Nima, a suburb of Accra in Ghana, where Kudus was born. In a video shared on social media, seen by sports pundits, a mural of Kudus celebrating one of the goals on the ongoing tournament has surfaced online. According to the artist who drew it, Mohammed Awudu, he said he wants the mural to be a reminder to the young stars in the community, that's community of Nima, that they can take on the world with dedication. Now, that is an inspiration. That is a way to inspire the young guys coming up. Yeah, you can, at 22, well, when you score that kind of crucial goal at 22, I think that is a massive statement. Now, the French team are trying to make a statement now. I can see them bringing in Mbappe. Mbappe is coming onto the game right now, and they've also brought in Rabiot. So they don't want to lose this game. Most definitely, they are trying to make a statement.
They're trying to get. We shall see. And the Tunisians need
they're
this
trying to
game.
make a statement.
Mm.
Yeah, the Tunisians need this game for them to qualify alongside the French team. And don't forget, the other game between Denmark and what's it called? And Australia is ongoing right now. It's still goalless as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Danish, they need a win to qualify. While the Aussies, they just need a draw, to move to the next round. Yeah. So let's see who's going to get that ticket later today. Let's see the way it goes right now.
They'll qualify.
Oh, Australia is. I think from the standing right now, I think Australia is leading. From the standing right now, I think Australia is leading. Yeah,
Australia
because I see them on 6 points right now. Yeah, Australia is leading. They are leading the Denmark, so they could be the Australia could be the team that will qualify. That is, but even if Tunisia beats France, Australia will still qualify with 6 points.
Yeah.
Who qualify with 6 points. So the Tunisians will still be out. But I'm sure the French team, they will want to win that group, most definitely. Probably that's why they've seen the introduction of Kylian Mbappe and Rabiot. They will want to win that group and avoid the top team, coming from the other group. Now let's move on, where French striker Antoine Griezmann has taken into cognizance the performance of Vincent Aboubakar. We saw Aboubakar at the Nations Cup. But when Cameroon started their World Cup exploit, I didn't see Abubakar in the starting lineup. And I was like, wow, This is the guy that literally took the Cameroon side, far at the Nations Cup. How come he's not starting? Until they brought him on, and 3-1 down against Serbia. Scored a goal, got an assist. Wow. He should be celebrated.
I think it was at the Nations Cup, he was their captain there. And he's still their captain.
That's right.
So I think he's just coming back from injury. I must think so. But when they brought him on, he scored a goal and had an assist. He could have scored 2 goals as well, He was unlucky at the second attempt. But Cameroon have really shown that, I think it started from Saudi Arabia. When Saudi Arabia came out in the second half, there was a report that at the halftime, their coach was like, "Are you just here for Messi's shirt? If you're here for Messi's shirt, then go back in there." But when they came back in the second half, they gave a performance, that sparked the other teams. And like, oh, if you put in performance, you could, cage these guys and then play your own game. They did that, and they succeeded. So that's what Morocco did against, and I think that's what France they're doing against France at the moment, the Tunisian. So it's really working. If you see the way the African teams are playing at the moment, and I expect Cameroon
It's
to
all about
qualify.
believing. It's all about you believing yourself. It's all about you impose your game on your opponents. Don't allow your opponent to impose his own game plan on you. And if you can just do
Mm-hmm.
that, you'll be fine. You will be fine. Now let's talk about the story of Andre Onana that was decamped by Rigobert Song, talking about the coach of Indomitable Lions of Cameroon.
Mm-hmm.
Stories emanated that Onana and Rigobert Song had some bits of differences concerning the way the coach wants the game to be played. Now, would Onana have said no to his club side coach if he were to be playing for his club side, Inter Milan? Will he have said no to
Mm,
the coach of Inter Milan concerning how the coach wants the game to be played?
I don't think so, and I think if that story is true, I think it's disrespectful to the coach himself. But um, I don't really know what would have happened. Something could have happened between them. But if they're going to use that story as an excuse, or if that was the story itself, then Onana is it deserves to be dropped from the team because a coach is a
According to
coach.
Fabrizio, you remember, you know that journalist Fabrizio Romano, the Inter Milan
Yeah,
goal. He
yeah.
says, and I quote: "The Inter Milan goalkeeper I held a tense discussion with head coach Gobert Song, who had insisted on a different style of goalkeeping, which was more traditional. Now it's all about staying your goal line, stay on your goal line. When the ball comes,
Mm,
don't be too creative with the ball. You're a goalkeeper. It's either you locate your defender and kick the ball out to your defender or kick the ball out of play. But when you want to like play like an outfield player, probably that's where he's having the issues with Rigobert Song. Rigobert Song wants a
mm,
goalkeeper that will be a goalkeeper, not a goalkeeper playing like a sweeper or playing like a
yeah.
libero.
That might be the way he plays at his club. That might be the way he plays at his club. But if you are inviting a player to a team, you are bringing him in, with the sense of his style of play. I want the goalkeeper that can play with his feet. I want the goalkeeper that can just catch the ball, shot stopper. You bring that one in. But notwithstanding, when you get to a tournament or you are in a camp and the superior leader, who is a coach, say, this is the way I want to play. You don't have to argue with him. If you argue with him, he will drop you. If you can adjust yourself to the way he wants to play, you let him know and he will drop you. There's no drama about that. I don't think there should be drama. There are three goalkeepers in the camp. So either of them could have, kept go for them in the last two games. But at the same time, let's see what they will do in their next game. If they will drop him or they will play him, we'll never know. Let's see.
Well, for it was not in goal in the game against Serbia. So for them to have survived that Serbian team, they played a 3-3
Mm-hmm.
draw. I don't think he's coming back to that team. I don't, except if he probably retrace his step and apologize to the rest of the players and the coach. Probably you might be reinstated back into the squad. Without that, I don't see him walking back into that squad. Now, new details have emerged that there's so much infighting going on in that Belgian team, and that is why the team is struggling. Now, we have stories here indicating that there is no love lost between some of the top stars like Kevin De Bruyne and Thibaut Courtois. Happen not to be, they are
Mm-hmm.
not on talking terms. And apart from Thibaut Courtois and Kevin De Bruyne, we also have names like Hazard and Lukaku, who also are not on talking terms, and Leandro Trossard and Hazard are also not on talking terms. They also have their own issues as well. And don't forget, before the start of the World Cup, Kevin De Bruyne gave this interview where he said the team is too old for them to win the World Cup. If you look at their performance since the start of this World Cup, a lot of people feel they were lucky against Canada for them to have gotten that one goal victory scored by Batshuayi. Now we saw that in the game against Morocco. Do they really deserve to be the second best team in the world?
Yeah, I think based on FIFA ranking, right? At the end of this World Cup, they will not be. That's for sure. But in coming to the World Cup, the numbers of games they've played, the numbers of games they've won. Look at Argentina. They've never lost a game in the last 3 years before this competition. They lost to Saudi Arabia. That will affect their ranking if they don't go further in this competition. So it's like that. But let's leave that aside. The grumbling going on between the players, you expect that in a losing camp. Hmm? Everyone wants to prove, oh, we could have done better, we could have done better. They're all good players. We know they're individually, they're good players. Some of them are aging, but you expect that in a losing camp. There are going to be rumors of mongering and all that. And all that. They've been beaten, right? That's them out. They're not going to qualify from this group. I don't think so. Then they will have to go and prepare with the new. I think they have some young boys they will bring into the team for the next Euro Cup. So maybe that will help them because they call them the golden.
You see, for me, I think the coach, I think Roberto Martinez got it wrong. I think Roberto Martinez got it wrong by fielding a player like Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard has not done anything remarkable in the past 2 years. Now, when you want to play a crucial game like that at the World Cup and you decide to play an Eden Hazard, when you have a Trossard, I believe Trossard is supposed to be a starter in that team, most definitely, because we see this guy do it week in, week out in the Premiership, and he's been very fantastic, playing for Brighton. So why can't he start for Belgium? And you decide to use an Eden Hazard who's a bench warmer with Real Madrid in a crucial game like that? Come on, man. I wonder what he was expecting. Uh, Now let's quickly move on now onto other stories where Captain Gareth Bale says he will continue to play for Wales as long as he's needed and as long as he's wanted. Now, he was part of that squad that lost 3 goals to 0 to England yesterday. Now, do you think Gareth Bale still deserves to be part of that squad? If you look at his performance, if you look at the rest of the player, the team itself going forward, do you think it's time for Gareth Bale to step aside, or you think he should still be part of that Welsh team going forward?
I think Gareth Bale. I don't like to say this, but I think Gareth Bale is finished as a footballer. He's gone to the MLS. When you go to the MLS, you've given us the impression that you don't want a competitive football in Europe. Don't get me wrong; they have league. They are a very, I wouldn't, but they have a very good league. At least we can see them at the World Cup. Majority of them play back home in the MLS, but at the same time, where things are really not as competitive as in Europe. Like you want to win the Champions League, you want to make the first 11 of your team. So I don't think he's got much to offer now. This should be the end of the era. This World Cup has been Gareth World Cup. He shouldn't have played in maybe the last game or Aaron Ramsey. He could have used boys with legs, that can run how many kilometers in the game. But at the same time, he will have to retire at one point, but I don't know when because he says he want to keep continue, he want to keep playing, but he will have to retire. So it's not going to be part of the
We'll
next
have to
campaign.
retire at one point. Well, we don't know when that time is going to come, but the young man is still saying that he's still ready to go and he wants to give it his best. Let's quickly tell you that yesterday, don't forget yesterday, some matches were played at the ongoing World Cup, and Senegal recorded that
Mm-hmm.
fantastic 2-1 victory, heartwarming 2-1 victory over Ecuador to seal their ticket into the next round. And Holland got the better of Qatar by 2 goals to 0, while USA pipped Iran by a lone goal. England, the walloped Wales by 3 goals to 0. Today, 2 games are ongoing right now. Denmark going up against Australia. I think the Aussies are leading, while the Tunisians are also leading against France. Now, the implication of that victory by the Senegalese yesterday is that they will face England in the round of 16. How do you see their chances? How do you fancy their chances?
I fancy their
That game
chances.
is scheduled for the Sunday, the 4th of December.
I fancy their chances, laddie, for this team to have qualified from the group. they're coming from in this competition. They're ready to face anybody, and even if you listen to Gareth Southgate yesterday, he described the Senegalese team as a dangerous team, and it's true. They're strong, they're big, and they're very, very strong on the ball. You have to physically,
I'm very mobile.
you have to be able to contest against them, you know, and they could spring a surprise. They are the African champion. They're the African champions. Don't forget that. So I expect a very good game against the English side on Sunday. I'm not saying they're going to win, but they're going to give them a big test. They're going to give them a big test. I fancy their chances, to be honest with you, Laddie. I fancy their chances.
If you look at the performance of Senegal up till this moment, will you say they're
Mhm.
missing the impact of Sadio Mane? Do you think they're still missing Sadio Mane, or you feel they've adjusted to the fact that Sadio is not part of the team?
I think they've adjusted. They showed us in the last game that they've adjusted. They've qualified from this group. So, but it will be a very, very big addition to them if you can make the Sunday game. If not, you wait for that's their luck. But if you can make the Sunday game, they've been able to navigate their way through these three games without him, and they qualified. I think it's a positive for them if he comes in. There's nothing else. Just a booster.
That's right. That's right. The what's it called? The French team, they are very desperate right now. They've just brought in Usman Dembele. They want to try and at least get a draw, because with a draw they will top the group
Hmm?
automatically. They will top the
They will
group
top the group.
automatically. So they're actually playing for a draw right now. But Tunisia, they don't need a draw. They must win this game. It is a must
They
win for
must win.
Tunisia.
They must
Yeah, they
win.
must win this
They,
game.
mm. But the Tunisians, I
Australia
think
to
they
win
had a
this game.
point in the first game. Is it not? They had a point in one of their games.
Yeah, they have
Not
a
a win.
point. They have a point. They played a draw in one of their matches, so that's why a win today will guarantee them 4 points. With 4 points, they should be home and
So,
dry. But let's see. But I don't
and
think the French side want to
they
go
expect,
out without a
yeah,
fight. They don't want to go down without
and
a
they will
fight.
expect them, okay, Denmark to
Yeah.
come
So
back
let's
against
quickly.
us.
Okay, Denmark. They are back in the game against Australia. Okay, let's see the way it
No,
goes.
they're not.
Let's quickly move on to this topic that I really want to talk about. That's the issue of African players playing for other teams at this World Cup. And as at this World Cup, we have a list of 9 players, Ghanaian players, who are actually playing for different teams. At this World
Mhm,
Cup, 9 of them. Now, if you look at the rundown here, in Group A alone in Qatar, we have a Nigerian player, that's Karim
mhm,
Bouadif. We have
mhm,
a Cape Verdean, that's Pedro Miguel Carvalho, popularly called Roro. He plays for Qatar. Now let's look at the list of all these players. These are African players. They are supposed to play for African teams, but probably because of birth or probably because of naturalization, they find themselves
mhm,
playing for all these foreign teams. And in Netherlands, we have Nathan Ake. He's an Ivorian.
mhm,
Ake is an Ivorian. He plays for the Dutch team. There's Jeremy Frimpong and Memphis Depay. They are both Ghanaians. They also play for the Dutch team alongside Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo is half Togo and half Ghana, also playing for the Dutch team. Now, in England, we have Bukayo Saka. Everybody knows that's a Yoruba man. He plays for the Three Lions of England. Now, in Wales, the Wales team have an Angolan player, Ben Kabango. We have a Ghanaian player, Ethan Akpadu, and Sierra Leonean player, Soba Thomas. Now, the United States team, they have a Ghanaian player, Yunus Musa, and a Liberian, Aji Wright and Timothy Ware. You remember Timothy Ware, the son of the legendary George Openware.
mhm,
Now, the
mhm.
Aussies, They have a South African, Kinu Bakos, a South Sudanese, that's Garankuo and Ava Mabil. Now, Denmark also have Alexander Barr, Tanzania, that's from Gambia, and the Tanzanian Yusuf Poulsen. While the French team, they have Karim Benzema is out of it, is an Algerian, Kylian Mbappe, Algerian and Cameroonian, Eduardo Camavinga, Angolan and Congo and Congolese. Jules Koundé is from Benin Republic. Now, Aurelien Tchouameni is from Cameroon. William Saliba that plays for, I think that he plays for, is it not Arsenal or the French team? Saliba is a Cameroonian. Then Guinea-Bissau, we have Dios Upamecano, the guy that plays in the German Bundesliga. He plays for the German team. No, he plays in the Bundesliga. Then Ibrahim Kanote, the defender, is actually from Mali, alongside Yusuf Fofana. Then Mathieu Guendouzi is a Moroccan player, Moroccan by birth, plays for the French team as well. Steve Mandamba, Randall Kolo, Axel Disasa. All these are guys from DR Congo. Then Senegal, Mali, Mauritania, Ousmane Dembele. Well, Ousmane Dembele has his roots from Senegal, Mali, and Mauritania. Wow, all west coast of Africa. And talking about the German team, Lo Kira, that's the guy from Burundi. Then they have a Nigerian, Jamal Musaila, a Senegalese, Leroy Sani, Sierra Leonean, Anton Rudiger. Cameroonian, we have two Cameroonian guys, Amel Bella Kochop and Yusuf Mukoko. And the French team, also, the Spaniards also have their own list of African players as well. So you see so many African players, doing their thing, living in other parts of the world where they call home, and they are just getting the job done. And who's going to say no to them?
Yeah, because to be honest with you, I think for me, I wouldn't blame anybody who does that. Look at people are blaming Anthony. I mean, Weir, right? Timothy George Weir. Like, oh, you're the president of Liberia, and your son is playing for the USA. Mm-mm, mm-mm. The boy's mom she's a US citizen. The boy's mom, so the boy could pick either of the nationality and say, oh, this is where I belong. He had the boy when he was in the US. He went to the US at one point. He had that boy. So he's there. I saw the video this morning after the game yesterday when the boy went to the VIP to go and see his dad with all the security. He hugged his dad and his mom. But it's a pride of Africa as well. The world is global these days, laddie. Anybody could spring up from everywhere. Maybe I'm talking from, I don't know, I wouldn't say from experience. I'm a dad of, white kids. If they come in tomorrow and say, Dad, I play rugby for Scotland and we're going to go and play the final at the South Africa in Johannesburg, I'll take her there first. Even if it's in Lagos, I'll take her there first and show her the whole stadium. You're going to contest for South Africa, for, Scotland, because that's where they know. That's where they had all the support. I have a friend who he brought his daughter from Ireland and they live here. So they came from Ireland, he put her in school. The girl went to school and they had an inter sport, something like that. She came first. They look at the timing. They took her to Glasgow to go and contest with the fastest girl. She came first. They're like, oh, we're going to recruit her into the Scottish junior side. And just to support her, they put her in a private school. Private school that the dad would never be able to afford. Come, come to think of it, if the girl doesn't succeed, right, she will have went to school with some important people, kids and children in this country, right? She will have learned, she will have had the discipline of being fit, You have to be fit. Even if you don't make it in life, it's the part of discipline. They put them through. But do we have that over? It's good luck.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. It is not like that in these parts of the world, and it's not like that in Africa and some other parts of the globe. I totally agree with you on that. But then, and the fact that most of all these guys playing for all these countries were probably born in those countries, grew up there, all their friends are in all these countries that we've listed. So it's just natural for them to represent that country because that's just who they are. That's where they belong. And there's nothing anybody can do about that. Probably the guys back home do the needful and support sports, put some money into sport, get corporate organizations to support sports. Probably then we'll start to compete and contest with the best in the world. That is how far we can go today on the show. Thank you very much for being part of this wonderful edition of Sports Engine coming to you on the platform of Jambo Radio Scotland. My name remains Ladi Egbedere. With me has been Enifemi Afolabi. Thank you very much, Zimo. Hopefully, we should be back on Wednesday.